Okay, we're gonna be discussing discussion 8, love and abstract. We're gonna be talking about 3 poems today, which is Love, 3, which is by George Herbert. Then we're gonna talk about The Flea, which is by John Donne, and then we're gonna talk about Oh My First Son by Ben Jonson. The people that are in my group, which I am the group leader, people that are in my group is Sophia, Victor, in Tolwesia. I'm just going to be calling her T because I'm pretty sure I'm not saying her name right. And Frank did not participate in this discussion this week. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with the first, what is it called? First poem. And the first poem we're going to be discussing is Oh My First Son by John Donne. Basically, that poem is describing how his son had died and how he's looking, how he is looking through his, or he's trying to deal with his son's death, basically, and how his love hurts him to the bone, and how he thinks at first that it's his fault, and then he thinks, well, why should I be sad because my son is finally in a good place, so why should I be sad because his son is in heaven, so why should he be sad? And me, Sophia, and Victor thought of the exact same thing. Talwesia kind of went off board a little bit on that poem because she says that like his sadness is because of his older son's death because a plague killed him, but we don't know if he's the older son, and we don't know how he died because the poem does not say that. And then she talks about and then Sophia kind of didn't tell us the solution on the problem and the solution. She didn't talk about the solutions on that poem. Well, she didn't really do the solutions for all 3 poems, but that's fine. She actually got the problem right, but she just messed up on the solutions. But going back onto the poems, we did think that the poem, at the end of the poem, the paradox, actually, that we all do agree on the paradox, that he experiences love as a hurtful and painful thing, and that he will never love, he will love, but he will never like. So, which doesn't make no sense. Like, how can you love something if you don't like it? Like, but he doesn't want to feel that pain anymore of that of love, of that love. So he will love, but he will never like. And that is in like one of the lines, it says, "For whose sake be forth all his vows, be such as what he loves may never like too much," which basically means he will love, but he will never like, which doesn't make no sense. So that is the paradox, and we all agreed on that. Okay, so for the second poem we'll be discussing is Love 3, which is by George Herbert, and that is explaining basically a guest, and he is trying to, he doesn't think he's worthy enough to sit down and eat with love, which basically is God. And the whole time he does not think he's worthy at all. And this poem kind of shows us the scared of love, because God repeatedly tells the guest or the man or the girl that they are worthy. Like, I died on the cross for our sins, and that you are always worthy. But the guy still like, nah, I'm not worthy no matter what. And that show, and throughout the whole poem he shows that, even in the second the second part of the poem. I don't know what it's called. It starts with an S, stiz, or something like that. But that shows the debate between between the two, between the love and the guest in the poem, and Victor describes that as well throughout the poem, on how that how that love explain on how that love what was I going? Well, I do not know where I was going with that, but basically explains how the debate between love and, like, he's trying to say, yes, I'm worthy, and he's like, no, no, I'm not. Yeah, you are. Yeah, just going on back and forth. But then finally, at the very end, they finally agree. He finally agrees with love / God that, okay, I'm worthy. And that's at the final thing. All of my group members even said in their last description that he sat down and ate. Let me see if I got that right. Yeah, that he finally sat down and ate, which that shows that he accepts God's love, and God accepts his forgiveness and everything, and that's why, like, he sits down and everything. So the third poem we're gonna be talking about is The Flea, which is basically about I'm trying to think. Okay, The Flea is about a girl and a guy and a flea, and the guy's trying to basically get in the girl's pants, right? But that's against her religion, so she's not gonna do that. And the guy uses a flea as an example. He's like, oh, the flea bit me, and it bit you, so now our blood's in the flea together, so that, like, that's our concept that, like, we should have sex. And the flea represents sex, the sex relationship between them two. And when the guy's trying to explain to her, like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be, and trying to persuade her to have sex, he starts to persuade her just a little bit until the girl's like, nope, you're dumb, and squishes the flea. And then the guy tries to explain why the flea doesn't represent them anymore. Like, it doesn't represent their marriage and their sexual attentions or anything like that. And Victor did a really good job on explaining that, and how it and how it was, like, for his paradox. He kind of explains why she would murder the flea like that easily, like, when the reason she did not want to have sex with him was because, like, she was afraid to sin and by having sex. So basically, like, Victor kind of helped me look at it in a different way on why she wanted to really have sex with him, and because honestly I didn't think she really did until Victor kind of opened up my eyes about that. That's kind of why she killed the bug. I thought she killed the bug because she's like, oh no, you're dumb, killing it, like, you don't make no sense, but really she actually wanted it. But, like, she didn't want to look down to, because she sinned, and she didn't go by what the religion is talking about. And